Welcome to no spoiler early review of Hogwarts Legacy, you branch waving bastards. Played the game for about 15 hours, so this isn't full review. Full review is coming after the game has been finished. Important note is that I'm not a Potter fan. Read first couple books and they were great, but haven't watched any movies. I went strictly indifferent into Hogwarts Legacy with no expectations. That being said, I don't recall lore from the books as it was way too long ago, so no idea how woke political propaganda in the game affects the lore itself. Would love to hear from Potter fans what they think about it. Also not gonna comment on woke political inclusions in the game that much. Just gonna say a couple things so that we get it out of the way. I really don't read or pay attention to that stuff before playing games so that I can start with a clear head and have my own thoughts about it. And yeah, it is really woke. There are a couple clearly token characters in the game just to fill the woke quota. Problem is that they take screen time for others that could have been much better in a more significant role. Instead, two characters, Natsai and Sirona, have charisma of a plank of wood. What is the point of this?
My pleasure. I will say, trolls in Hogsmeade. That's never happened before.
If the characters were nicely written like most others, it would be no problem, but this way it just screams we want to be woke. Weak attempt at generating political points. Do it by creating great characters so we would actually care about them. I don't care if someone is straight, gay, trans, from Africa, England, India, who they kiss, who they worship and whatnot. That to me is irrelevant. Only thing that matters is how well characters are written. That is it. Attempts at scoring shallow points through political propaganda ain't gonna work here. Alright, enough about that. Hogwarts Legacy for first 15 hours is a good game. I don't have many negative things to say about it, as most are minor complaints with some major ones. However, my concerns are rising with each hour of how the game is going to be later. It is more and more starting to look like typical repetitive open world stuff hidden under magical world and spells. Story is good with focus on ancient magic and many characters' aptitude for it. This is a story-driven game, which I like, so it has a slow pace with main character learning all the stuff about magic from Hogwarts teachers over time. Main story is about learning parallel to discovering ancient magic secrets and how we are connected to it. In my opinion, game has nice balance between the two so that both are significant and make sense overall. Don't get me wrong, story ain't nothing marvelous, but it is good and has potential to keep players' interest due to its mysterious nature. Even after 15 hours I'm still learning new stuff with new mechanics and spells being added, which is pretty cool considering we are role-playing a student. However, now I am getting to a point where classes are becoming more and more irrelevant and all have generic cutscenes with each having similar busy work goals, unlike before where everything genuinely felt hands-on with uniquely crafted content. That is why I am getting concerned about generic and repetitive approach in future regarding side content. Characters in the game are mostly amazing, unlike token characters. Professor Fig, Black Sharp and many others are fantastically written with so much charisma and phenomenal acting. Even a lot of irrelevant characters that you are going to meet once or twice feel genuine.
This can't be your first duel. Let's just say I'm a quick learner.
Villains haven't had much of screen time in my playthrough yet, but for now they are kinda generic. To some extent it makes sense, as Potter is written for kids, so having someone obviously evil makes it easier for kids to relate to good and evil. However, Hogwarts Legacy ain't really a harmless game for kids, so I don't know what to think about villains yet. I know books and movies got darker over time, so maybe it relates more to later stuff than early. Potter fans, sound off in comments about that. Now to talk about Hogwarts itself and the world around. Hogwarts is amazingly done, at least for someone like me that does know a tad bit about it but not much. Everything hits as it should, full of secrets, loot, side quests involving sneaky stuff with other kids, background sounds, collectibles. Attention to detail is truly amazing when it comes to Hogwarts. So much magical stuff happening around, like suits of armor reacting, ghosts wandering about, Peeves annoying whoever he meets, use of magic to get collectibles, unique classrooms. It is so freaking impressive. World around Hogwarts looks great as well. Lush, interesting and filled with activities, but thankfully not on every step. Hamlets and Hogsmeade appear really genuine and look amazing thanks to fantastic graphics. Side content for first 15 hours or so, depending how much time you spend doing it, is a nice filler that also often introduces new mechanics and interesting stories here and there. Besides side quests, it is mostly busy work, but magical approach to solving everything helps in keeping interest. There are Merlin trials that are pretty basic, to be honest, collectibles, chests, later on magical beasts that can be tamed, dungeons, dangerous forbidden forest full of enemies. Overall, nothing special or high quality, but magical focus makes it more interesting. However, how long is that gonna hold is the real question. There are also rewards for doing certain combat deeds, exploring areas, doing puzzles and so on that unlock additional customization options, which is always nice added incentive to do stuff. Good enough to keep going through all of the side content? Doubtful, but we'll see. Let's talk about combat and gameplay overall. Combat is fun. Managing spells with all the amazing visual effects and mechanics is really good. I was skeptical about combat at first because of no melee option. Limiting your game to only ranged in a fantasy world could be very risky due to a loss of interest after being stuck for long periods of time with the same playstyle. However, there are just enough spells to constantly keep things interesting. It never gets old pulling, pushing, slamming and levitating enemies. Feel like Darth Vader at times, and I love it. Cool thing is Protego spell that serves as block and parry at the same time if timed correctly, with potential Stupefy add-on to stun enemies. Really fun for the most part. I love fighting multiple enemies, but fighting something like a troll becomes boring fast. Overall, enemy behavior is very shallow and quite bad. Each enemy type has 2 attacks and that is it. Not to mention them covering large distances mid-combo with tracking attacks by sliding on the floor. Plays out clunky at times and it drags combat down to kinda basic level overall. It is still fun thanks to great spells and enemy manipulation, but weak enemy design drags it down.
Levioso, Descendo, Repulsor,
Petrificus Totalis! Petrificus Totalis!
I
What
need
shall
it.
you do now?
Levioso, Depulsor, Accio, Descendo.
Stealth is also in the game. This is all I can say about it. Very basic as well. Besides combat, player is gonna have to go through many puzzles, be it side or main story content. I like that, as it adds different dynamic, and with magical worlds such as this, they play out at times quite different, which can confuse player in a good way to start thinking outside of the box. Main story puzzles are good, but side content stuff like Merlin trials is weak. So far, character progression, meaning character build, is also weak. But I haven't had the chance to play around with traits yet, so I'm reserving final judgment for full review, obviously. I like how levels are gained, which is through accumulated experience by doing anything related to quests and the world. So exploration is rewarded in that sense. Talent points are gained each level that can be spent in one of 5 skill trees. Skill trees are not made equal, unfortunately. Only 4 possible upgrades from stealth, for example. So hard to convince yourself to spend limited talent points on something that isn't as relevant or well done in the first place. No respec option as well, unfortunately. Traits are part of equipment. Without traits, it is one of the most shallow and lazy gear systems I have ever seen. Gear comes with either offense or defense stat boost. That is it. Bloody hell. Couple minor stuff to add. Room of Requirement is a fantastic idea that adds a lot to the game. Love it. It is essentially your crafting space that can be altered in many ways. Graphics and audio work are fantastic. Lock-on targeting is problematic at times when fighting many enemies. It seems like it isn't switching to nearby targets first when switching from one enemy to another, which can be really annoying sometimes. Limited gear slots so that we have to constantly sell stuff and have everything empty to be able to go on a lengthy quest is really stupid design decision. A lot of generic dialogue that I had to skip through, especially between the students. Game has some bugs as well. Anyway, overall for first 15 hours I would give the game 8 out of 10 as things stand, but I seriously doubt it is going to hold on to that score when all is said and done. I really like it so far though, and have to commend immense effort to details, especially when it comes to Hogwarts. Anyway, that is it. Stay tuned for more guides and eventually full review.